Hey, it's Drew Bentley with Learn Guitar with Drew. Today we're going to take a look at the top 5 easy power chord riffs for beginners. We're going to take a look at how to play these from easiest to hardest with one string first, then adding a second string and then a third string, and we'll go from the easiest riff to the hardest riff. But first, thanks so much for checking out the video. Okay, so we're going to begin our journey today with a song called Wild Thing by the Trogs. This is a nice old tune. I really like this one. We're going to use first position power chords for this one. So this is going to start with the easiest of the 5 riffs first. It's A, D, back to E, back to D. So these are called power chords, which is a root fifth and a root. It's from a drop 2 voicing. You can check out the first video on the channel about power chords right here to learn how that works. So we can do this first with only one string, and then we're going to add more strings to it. So we're going to start from the easiest version first. The very first thing you can do is literally just play the A string, and then the D string, and then the E string, the A string. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward, I think. A, D, E, back to A again. So that's really simple. If you don't know the names of the strings yet, check out this video right here. We'll show you how the notes on the fretboard are laid out. It also goes into the names of the strings. So now let's try this with 2 strings next. I'm going to put my first finger and I'm going to bar it on the 2nd fret, and a bar is when you go across multiple strings at the same time. I'm going to roll my finger backwards a little bit. I'm going to play 2 strings together. A string and a D string. So I'm going to start out with open A first. Put my first finger on D2. And then open D, my first finger on D2. Open low E, first finger on A2. And back to open A and first finger on D2. Now, if I play those together, it sounds like this. Okay, so that's pretty simple. Now let's try 3 strings. So I'm barring again with my first finger on the 2nd fret, playing 3 strings, A, D, C strings. And now I'm going to make this D chord. So it's not a complete D, it's called a D5. I'm not including the high E string. So that's 1 G2 and 3 on B3. And then I'm going to simply bar my first finger on the 2nd fret across the A string and the D string this time like this. And then back to the A string. Okay, so here's what that sounds like with 2 strings. Okay, and now we'll try it with all 3 strings. Okay, so that's pretty simple. 1 string and then 2 strings and 3 strings. All right, so the second riff we're going to do today is by the Kinks. There's a cool Van Halen version as well. This is really simple. We're going to start with our 2nd finger on low E3, play that note, and then we're going to play the open A string next, like this. So simply it's going to be low E3, open A twice, back to low E3, and then open A once. That's. Now, if you want to add more notes to it, we can do the same thing where we add the 2nd string and then the 3rd string. Put our first finger on D2, now we can do this. So I'm playing open A along with D2. I'll do that slowly. Okay, now if we add the 3rd string, we're going to bar our first finger the 2nd fret across the G string as well. This rock A power chord, A5, and that sounds like this. Okay, so you can add one string at a time to try to get more sound out of it. Now, if we put a little bit of sass on this G note, like this, now it comes alive. It has a bit more kind of balls to it. This is the best way to do this little sound here, called the Van Halen snap, is to kind of do that schoolyard taunt like this. So it's bow. If I go, now that's used all the time in rock and roll. So here's the riff with that little bit of a snap to it. Now, if I put a bit of a chicka in there as well, chicka, it sounds like this. So that's a pretty easy riff. We could do it with one string and then ultimately two strings and three strings, building the power chord as we go. That's another simple power chord song to do. The third one, we're going to move up the neck for this one. We're going to take a look at Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes. So if we did that with one string first, it would go like this. So that's 7, 7, 7, 10, 7, 5, 3, 2. 7, 7, 7, 10, 7, 5, 3, 2. Okay, so we're just kind of using our first finger and following along on the A string with those frets. So here's the next trick. We need to add another string to this to give it the rock power chord sound. The third finger is going to get included as well. So if I put my first finger on A7, my third finger has to go all the way up here onto D9. Play those two strings together. The trick is to get closer to the right side of the fret so you get more sound. Roll your third finger this way and kind of roll your first finger this way. Kind of spread them out, you get more sound. So now I can go like this: 7, 7, 7, 10, 7, 5, 3, 2. So it still doesn't quite sound right. We need another string, and this is where we're going to work on getting three strings for the next three riffs, this riff plus the next two riffs. You're going to borrow your third finger from the D string down across all the strings, but you're just going to play A, D, and G. And A power chord form has just A, D, and G strings sounding out. Again, roll your third finger towards the right fret to get more sound like this. If I roll this guy, you get all three strings to sound out. Now this may take a while to get that together, so you can always play these riffs with just one string. That's kind of the magic of all this, and then add more strings as you go. Here's what it sounds like with three strings, very slowly. Pick up the tempo a bit. Okay, I put a little slide there as well. There's a little bit of attitude to that. The fourth riff is going to be the staple Iron Man. This is a fantastically fun thing to play. Again, we can do one string first, and then two, and then three. Here's what it sounds like with only one string. So now, if I do that slowly, I'm going 2, 5, 5, slide 7, 10, slide 10, slide 10, 5, 5, slide 7, 2, 5, 5, slide 7, 10, slide 10, slide 10, 5, 5, slide 7. I always kind of thought this sounded like it says Iron Man in the riff. I am Iron Man, get as fast as you can. I don't know, whatever you want to say there. So now if we add a second finger like the last riff, we're having our fingers on A2, and then the third finger goes on D4 like this. So this is where the 2 strings come into play. 2, 5, 5 slide 7, 10 slide 10 slide 10, 5 5 slide 7, 2 5 5 slide 7, 10 slide 10 slide 10, 5 5 slide 7. And then if you want to add the third string in, you have to bar your third finger and roll it again towards the right fret and try to get 3 strings to sound out. So you might want to practice. Something like that, where you're kind of getting used to playing all 3 strings. Here's the riff with 3 strings slowly. 2 5 5 slide 7. Now that slide, you have to hold the chord form down while you slide. Again, it sounds like Iron Man. And then the 5th riff for today is one of my all-time favorite rock guitar riffs, Rock You Like a Hurricane by the Scorpions. So if we do this with 1 string first, so it's 7 7 slide, 3 3 5 5 3 5 5. Now we're entering into another thing right now where we're doing the E bar chord form further up the neck. So this is the E and the A string together with 2 fingers. That looks like this. Okay, so your first finger's on A7, and the third finger's on D9. Again, 2 fingers. Stretch them out closer to the right side of the fret, if you're right-handed, of course, and try to get closer to the right fret. That's where the sound happens. So that's 7 7 slide, 3 3 5 5 3 5 5. Okay. Now let's add a 3rd string. So the same thing applies with the A form. Barring your 3rd finger, the right side of the fret, to get 3 strings to sound out. Now, this next guy requires something totally different. We're going to do 3 fingers for this because it's part of an E bar chord form. That's the full form. So we have to use the 1st, 3rd, and 4th fingers like this. So it's 1 low E3, 3 A5, and 4 D5. So it's a little bit of a different animal for this one. Here's what this sounds like with 3 strings. So you can hear the evolution of the extra strings and how much more girth that gives to the riff when you add the 3rd string in. Sounds a lot more like the legitimate song. So let's go over all of these again from easiest to hardest, and then we'll add a string each time as we do it. Okay, so that's the top 5 easy power chord riffs for beginner guitar players, going from the easiest to the hardest and starting with one string first and adding the second string and then adding a third string. And as you can tell, it sounds better and better with more strings the more you add to it. Thanks so much for checking out the video. Please hit that subscribe button and click the bell for notifications. And in the comment section down below, you'll find links for my websites and other guitar resources. Hope you had a lot of fun today. I certainly had fun making this video and teaching the lesson. And as always, I can't wait to see you at the next lesson.